Really, I'm just cutting zoos.
So I think it's ready to begin. Marianne, would you like to begin recording?
I can't hear her. Can you turn off yours? Dr. Dawes, I think I'm having some internet issues, but we are recording and you're all good to go.
Okay, thanks so much. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first webinar back to school night. My name is Dr. Laurel Dawes, and I'm so incredibly pleased to serve as your principal for Cabrillo Middle School. This is my 7th year as principal here, and I am just touched and really enjoy being at Cabrillo. Hopefully I'm sharing my screen right now, and you can see a mural or a collage that students made a couple of years ago with some parents in support. And I would like to let you know about the different accessibility options we have this evening. We do have closed captioning. If you click on the bottom, I think you'll be able to access closed captioning. I think you should be able to see our American Sign Language interpreters pinned to the front of the screen. And I would also like to point out that we have Spanish interpretation tonight as well. Buenas tardes y gracias para venir esta noche. Tenemos traducción a español. Por favor, oprime el botón interpretación en Spanish. No está en español, está en Spanish. Y puede escuchar en español. Gracias. Okay, our Spanish interpreter is on a different channel, and so she's not able to be heard by the English speakers in the group, but if you prefer to hear in Spanish, you're welcome to click on the interpretation button at the bottom and listen along in Spanish. I would like to begin this evening by welcoming our school board members and our superintendent, Dr. Roger Rice. They are on the screen tonight, and I have a video because we had originally planned on recording our principal's video in addition to all the teacher videos. Hopefully all the parents have received the flyer that had all the teacher either videos or virtual representations, and you've been able to watch those in advance so that we can do this flipped night tonight. It's kind of a different format. Because of that, our board president, Sabrina Rodriguez, kindly recorded the first video, and it's on, it's representing the entire school board. I know Vice President Jackie Moran is doing a candidates forum for the Midtown Community Council this evening, and then we have board member Jerry Dannenberg. I see Mr. Matt Alvarez in the audience. Thank you, Matt, for being here, as well as board member Velma Lomax. He's always so supportive. So we will, I just want to give them a chance to wave and say hello, and we'll move into the videos, and I hope that the audio works.
Hi there, it's my pleasure to welcome you back to school on behalf of the Board of Education. My name is Sabrina Rodriguez, and I am just so pleased that we're able to be a part of your child's educational journey. Please know that we're here to support you and to support your students as they grow and learn during the crazy times that we're in. School may look very different, but all of our staff is still here because they love your kid and they want to see them do as well as possible.
And now our superintendent, Dr. Roger Rice.
Hello and good evening. I'm Superintendent Dr. Roger Rice, and I'm really pleased to be with you all this evening to welcome you to the 2020 Back to School Night here at Cabrillo Middle School. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here this evening and for supporting our schools. Your interest and support for your children's education makes all the difference. Dr. Dawes and her team have put together a great deal of information for you, and I encourage you to reach out to her and her team whenever you have questions. I know that this may not be the start of the year that you were hoping for, but I appreciate your patience and support as we work through these difficult times. Once again, thanks for being here this evening, and let's have a great year. Hola y buenas noches. Estoy muy contento de poder darles la bienvenida a todos a la noche de regreso a clases de 2020, aquí en la Escuela Secundaria Cabrillo. Quiero agradecerles a todos por tomarse el tiempo de estar aquí esta noche y por apoyar a nuestras escuelas. Su interés y apoyo por la educación de sus hijos marca la diferencia. La doctora Dawes y su equipo han reunido una gran cantidad de información para usted y le animó a que se comunique con ella y su equipo siempre que tenga preguntas. Sé que puede que este no sea el comienzo del año que esperaba, pero agradezco su paciencia y apoyo mientras trabajamos en estos tiempos difíciles. Una vez más, gracias por estar aquí esta noche y tengamos un gran año.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rice and board members Alvarez and Rodriguez. We really appreciate your support. And I know everyone has been working incredibly hard this year. It's, I would say, harder than almost any year in our, in my experience, in my 20 plus years in Ventura Unified. I would like to try to continue with basically the same format that we would do with an in-person back to school night. And so I'm going to introduce our new employees that we have, that we welcomed to Cabrillo. We had 4 retirees last year, and one person, our assistant principal last year, Mr. Gray, moved to become principal at a different school district in Ventura County, and he has been replaced by Mr. Joe Dice. Welcome, Mr. Dice. We're so glad you're here. Mr. Dice comes to us with great experience from Balboa Middle School and has just been an incredible fit already. So if your student's last name begins with L through Z, he would be your assistant principal, and he's been just a real asset as far as technology support, really fit in nicely already, so thank you. We are pleased to welcome Mr. Daniel Flores, Maestro Flores. He's teaching social studies and English language development. We have Ms. Sandy Roll teaching mathematics, doing a great job. Mackenzie Hurley is our new speech and language pathologist. And Emberlinda Kelly Arthur is a new DHH paraeducator, deaf and hard of hearing. We're so pleased to have the deaf and hard of hearing program for the county middle school level at Cabrillo. And so she's a real asset in that program. And then Mr. Mayers, who you might know is the son of Allison Mayers, who just retired last year. Mr. Mayers came to be the co-teacher with April Golden, who just went out on maternity leave. She hasn't had her baby yet, but we're expecting a healthy, happy little girl anytime now. Outstanding new staff members. Somebody did point out that we hired Roll and Dice in the same year. And, you know, that's, of all years to do it, 2020 seemed like the one. So I hope that this all works out well for us. You know, it's been an interesting year because we are all like first-year teachers, first-year counselors, first-year principals. We are really feeling like first-year educators this year, but thankfully the families have been really gracious and supportive. Students are learning right along with us, and it's been a really positive experience so far. That said, Cabrillo's vision and mission remains the same. We are still the place where we welcome all students, and we want all students to grow emotionally, socially, academically, throughout their 3 years. These are the 3 years when just children develop so much naturally. And we want to support them to be the best students they can be so that they'll be successful in high school, college, and beyond. And so this is our vision, and it remains true at times of distance learning. And I just am grateful that you're along for the ride with us on this new year. You're welcome to follow me on Twitter. I'm at Principal, I'm your pal, remember, _Dawes. And I periodically post usually just really interesting, positive things about Cabrillo. And I would also encourage you to follow at Cabrillo Blue Heart, because that's where we post about our Blue Heart project. Certainly every Thursday when we welcome and celebrate the kindness that is part of Cabrillo. The Blue Heart project is our way of saying kindness rather than anti-bullying. We would rather put out what we want to see from students rather than what we don't want to see from students. So I ask a little bit, with a little bit of sarcasm, what is new? It seems like quite a bit is new this year. Obviously, we have a brand new schedule. We are attending, we went to a block schedule, as did the whole district. 3 classes a day, Monday and Thursday, periods 1 through 5, Tuesday and Friday, periods 2, 4, 6, And then Wednesday, just a short 30-minute social emotional learning lesson that is led through the period 3 class. This was a big decision made by a lot of people across the district. And I think people have gotten the hang of it now. We took a couple of weeks to really get going and get technology working and everything. And it's been quite a journey, but I think it's proving effective. We're still learning a lot. We're still mastering it, that's for sure. The platform that we're using is called Canvas, and it's called Canvas because it really is kind of a blank canvas. So teachers were given this blank canvas and they built courses. They built courses based on the standards that have been in place for several years. They use the curriculum that they've been using for quite a while, or a few years anyway, since the Common Core standards came in. And they have built these courses and they're teaching them, they're implementing them online with both synchronous, which means in the same time as, and then asynchronous classes. And so I know people are getting used to that, but I hope that it's successful so far. I'd like you to know that we have a new science curriculum this year. It's called Inspire Science, and we went through a piloting process, and we're grateful to be able to adopt this one that a lot of science educators were really in favor of. It's very exciting. We have a new communication platform called Parent Square, and this is one where you're able to get not only the phone calls that you received through EduLink, but you can also get text messages, you get emails. It's much more user-friendly, I would say. And I encourage you to go into Parent Square and set your notifications the way you want them. For example, do you want to get a digest of information every day at, I don't know, about this time, 5 or 6 o'clock? Or would you rather get messages as they're sent out? It's up to you, whatever you like. And then there have been a lot more health and safety rules and procedures put into place at work. You know, safety has always been our #1 objective because we know that students can't learn unless they're in a safe and healthy environment. But safety takes on a whole new meaning when we're in a global pandemic. And so we have implemented lots of safety procedures. You'll know when you approach the school office that we have a different window, and we greet you at the window and then we direct you to wherever you need to go to get help. And sometimes that is into the office, but it's not always. Sometimes it means that we ask you to go somewhere else to let us serve you. We have procedures in place for the teachers and the staff as far as hand washing, passive screening, things of that nature. And these things are always evolving depending on what public health directors are saying, depending on the conditions of the pandemic in our area at the time. I should point out that we have a question and answer session open. We have our team of leaders here. We have we have Mrs. Brandstetter and Mr. Dice, our assistant principals. Let me stop sharing for a second. Mrs. Brandstetter and Mrs. Brandstetter covers alphabet A through K, and Mr. Dice, L through Z. And then paired up with them, we have our amazing school counselors, Mr. Walden and Mrs. Knowles. Also, Mr. Walden, A through K, and he also works with all of our families who are Spanish speaking, as well as Portuguese speaking. And Mrs. Knowles is last names L through Z. And then we also have our wonderful office manager, Luann LeBaire, is on the line. She can answer questions about registration or school of choice or those types of things. And then we have our outstanding school psychologist, Lisi Dinkow, is here. She could answer questions about special education in a general sense. Please don't ask anything too personal on the public Q&A, but I'd like you to be able to get your questions answered throughout this presentation. I guess I have to screen share in order to make the slide progress. Speaking of school counselors, they still have the same focus that they had when school was in session, but they're figuring out how to do it remotely. And that is, they have a big focus on access and equity, supporting students through the 3 domains: academic, social emotional, and college and career readiness. And they have developed presentations that they'll be doing both in the Wednesday lessons, and only some of those. A lot of those are led by the 3rd period teacher. But they'll also be doing clubs and programs throughout the week at different times. And the students have kind of a student union tile on Canvas that they can access, and a lot of the counseling resources will be going out through that student union tile that they have there. There's also a great website on it's linked to our school website for the counselors. And so I encourage you to check that out and get to know Mrs. Knowles and Mr. Walden. They're both wonderful people and are great at serving kids. So let them help you. One of the things that they organize is something called WEB, which is where everybody belongs. And the 6th graders participated in a web orientation. It was our first online one done this year. It was in the first week of school, and I guess the second week. And they're going to be meeting with their 8th graders again. So what WEB is, if you don't know, basically groups of 10 6th graders meet with 2 8th graders in an ongoing basis throughout the school year. And they do some mentoring, they do some games, they just check in on each other and assure that they're buddies, that they're doing well together. And so next week, the 8th grade mentors will be sending the 6th graders an invitation to participate in a little half an hour day of fun. And so if you have a 6th grade student, be on the lookout for the web event that will be happening next week. There will be lots of half hour events throughout the whole week. Okay, and now I would like to turn it over to our PTO president, Mrs. Rashida McClure. We have a wonderful PTO, and Mrs. McClure has stepped up and taken the leadership role for this year. And so I'd like you to hear what she has to say. Rashida.
Hi, Cabrillo parents. It is my honor to be serving as your parent representative in this, the oldest and largest child-focused organization in the nation. We have a 123-year rich history where parents and teachers have worked together to create an environment that works for all. So I'm very honored to be doing this for you this year and with you. During our book distribution a few weeks ago, I got to meet a lot of you as you turned in those orange envelopes for our Mariner Fund. I just want to say you joined the Cabrillo PTO at that time, and I thank you. We did amazingly well, which I will talk about a little later when I get to the budget. A few of you took the time to tell me or other PTO volunteers that you wanted to help this year. I just wanted to tell you, beware, because we'll be calling. As you see, we have some openings there. All kidding aside, our child's lives are enriched when we have an eclectic and diverse group of parents working together on PTO. I do hope if you have just a little time that you'll think about joining us this year as we figure out how to work through the pandemic. Now let me jump on speaking to this slide here. What you see before you, thank you. What you see before you are the open positions and those that need to be filled by a willing volunteer. Dr. Dawes serves as our second vice president. Maria Godinez is our treasurer. Cheryl Miller, who is both a parent and a Ventura Unified School District, serves as our secretary. Our social media chair is shared by Sheila Murphy. Now, she stepped up to champion this in this pandemic year where we've had to move so much online, including how we're going to go forward with our fundraising. So thank you, Sheila. Kristen Nagel there takes over our Access fundraising campaign and our organic food box. These are two of our big fundraisers that are easy to do from home, and the Access book will come out on September 18th. Mark your calendar. Okay, our Mariner Fund, which includes our PTO membership, grew last year to be our second biggest fundraiser, and we'll be leaning on it again this year. Because of its critical importance, we've asked our immediate past PTO president, Julie Bursick, to take on that challenge, and thank you, Julie. Something we do every year that's super fun is our spring social. It is where we have a chance to make merry, to listen to our award-winning student orchestras, and also to bid on a few things that are donated from our community. Last year, unfortunately, the pandemic meant that we couldn't go through with everything that we had planned, but that did not stop Lorena Ferrero for stepping up to put together our spring social again this year. And finally, Susanna Underwood, one of our wonderful teachers, maintains our emergency backpacks for each classroom. Thank you so much, Susan. As we move to the next page, you will see what we are now calling our contactless fundraisers. I just mentioned a few of them, but I want you to know that this is a way where you can take advantage of all of these things and donate to our school in a painless way. Do things you already do: online shopping, eating good food, buying tools and plants from Lowe's or Green Thumb. These are things that if you do them, we get a little bit of the money, a little portion, let's say a percentage. I'm going to say that because we're going to go in and talk about the budget on the next slide. So here we have our budget, totaling $55,920. That may sound like a lot, but I want you to know that PTO board reduced the budget this year by 33%. And we did that because what's the uncertainty of this year? We just don't know. So we're looking at the left-hand column there. 54% of our income will continue to come from our biggest fundraisers that I've already mentioned: Access Books, Mariner Fund, and the Spring Social. We're hoping that those three will bring in $30,400 for us for this year. I just want to mention that Mariner Fund one more time. If you think that your $10 donation to become a PTO member and to give to the Mariner Fund does nothing, please think again, because that money helps us to bring new experiences and interesting experiences to your child and to our school. We're looking at a big category there, $19,000. That is our anticipated income, which really represents a carryover from last year. It was for an enrichment activity structure. Say that 3 times. We added an additional $2,000 to that money just for our key departments, which I will speak about more when we get to the expenses. Organic food boxes and our contactless program we're anticipating will bring in another $6,500 all told. So that will take us through the income column. If we move to the expense column, our biggest expense, 38% of our expenses, goes directly to what we are calling our student enrichment, honors, and awards program at $17,400. Our educational field trips are definitely a part of the enrichment programs that we have going on, but we wanted to call it out specifically because when you think back on your childhood, what do you remember? The field trips, the things you did that were outside of the normal for school. We are going to have dedicated $3,800 for those field trips, and we really hope we'll be able to do them in the spring. So I'm asking you all to cross your fingers as well. The other big category that you'll see there is $10,500. And it's important that I point that out because it goes to our key programs that are stellar, and we want them to have the additional money. Math, science, music, art, wood shop, and language arts. I think we're all in agreement with that. We also give a small stipend to all of our teachers so they can enrich their classrooms and what they're doing online so that our children learn more and feel more connected to the lessons that they're being taught. I want to call out technology because that's always important. We've got $3,500 dedicated to that. Campus beautification, fundraising, and hospitality take up their own share of the money there. And then last but surely not least, the first line up there is our 8th grade promotion and the cool 8th grade t-shirts that only the 8th graders can wear. We've got $3,800 donated to, or dedicated to that account. And that's largely because we really hope to put on a traditional promotion this year. But even if we're not able to, we want to put on an awesome one. So I wanted to call that out. That's our budget. That's the entire $55,920. But I do want to tell you one other thing. In order for this budget to be put into action, it must be approved by the majority of you. So at the end of this presentation, there will be a Google form where you can approve or not the budget for this year. Before I turn this back over to Dr. Dawes, I want to say one thing as a parent to another parent. We work hard for our children, and we have done a lot to get them to this point, and we will still do so much more until they grow up into adults. And I just want to say, bravo us. You know, bravo you. We do a really good job with our kids. We've gotten them this far, and we're looking forward to all that we can do to grow them into wonderful young adults. I think I've said enough. Dr. Dawes, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Rashida. Brilliantly said. Thank you. Yes. I think one thing that parents don't often realize when they come to middle school is they think, oh, whew, I've already worked so hard with PTO or PTA or whatever in elementary school. I'm going to take a break. Please don't. Please stay involved. Middle school goes very quickly. They come in as just little children in 6th grade. 7th grade, they change so much. And by 8th grade, they're ready to move on to high school. It goes incredibly quickly. And our PTO is a wonderful group of ladies and gentlemen that I think you would really enjoy working with. So hopefully you'll choose to volunteer with them. If we go back a couple of slides at the bottom, you can see how you can get PTO text messages by texting at CMS-PTO to 81010. And I saw a few people doing that during the presentation. So thank you very, very much. Really appreciate you. It's a great group of people to work with. I would like to welcome into the presentation our two of our other board members, Mrs. Lomax and Dr. Dannenberg. Thank you for being here. Always so supportive. I know there were other back to school nights tonight, and I presume you were at those, so welcome over. Glad to see you. And I also want to remind our families about the Q&A. You're welcome to type in a question into the Q&A, and I have an assistant principal right near me who can fill me with an answer, or who can tell me the question and I'll answer it, or they can type into the responses. So we're not able to respond to raised hands, but we can respond to the Q&A. So let's move forward about other ways to get involved. This is another difference between elementary and middle school. In elementary, the PTA really is the way. But when you move into middle school, there's a few more options. And then when your children go into high school, there's even more options. One of the other ways that we have to get involved here at Cabrillo is the Cabrillo Music Boosters. And basically for every child who is in music, whether it's band or strings, if the parents and guardians are automatically in Music Boosters. Congratulations. And the ways that you can get involved are to donate, to volunteer with the various events, to support their fundraisers. And of course, we welcome support from the music parents as well as the non-music parents. And then visit their website. They're constantly changing it and updating it and really keeping it current. So I encourage that for both the Music Boosters and the PTO. We have a few official ways to get involved at Cabrillo. One of them is the School Site Council, which I think you may be familiar with from other schools. The School Site Council is predominantly responsible for creating the single plan for student achievement, which is our guiding plan for how we're going to accomplish our school goals. We also create the school safety plan, and we vote on the budgets. This is the only way that parents have access to vote on school budgets as they relate to the school goals. And we have 3 parents on School Site Council, as well as 3 students, as well as 6 staff members. And so this year we have 3 parents who have volunteered to be involved. We have Maria Godinez, who currently has a 7th grader at Cabrillo. She's the treasurer of our PTO, and she has a remarkable story of her own. And so she understands what it's like to be an underserved student in some schools, which of course we're trying to overcome, and we're trying to serve every single student, particularly those with the greatest needs. Kristen Ippolito has been on our School Site Council before in the process of having 5 daughters. Can you imagine, 5 daughters? They're currently in grades 3, 7, 10, 12, and one's in university. She's been on different school site councils, and she's really an involved person and a positive advocate for children. And then we have a 1-year term, and Banks Pecht has volunteered to serve in that capacity again. She's been on our school site council before. She has a daughter at Ventura High School, as well as one of her 2 twins attends Cabrillo and one attends a private school. She really supports all students, and I can say that wholeheartedly. And she also has a special passion for the arts. So at the end of this presentation, we're going to have a survey or a Google survey form. And I would encourage you to vote for these parent reps, as well as have the opportunity to get involved in PTO. And our English Learner Advisory Committee. Now, the English Learner Advisory Committee is another official group. This is a group that meets 6 times throughout the year. They meet in Spanish, but we have translation to English or other languages as necessary. They'll be meeting on Zoom this year. A really neat group of parents. They advise us on how to support our students who are learning English as an academic language. And so they have been the ones to really urge us to get smart boards, to get iPads, to get technology. They were really important advocates in the process of helping to move Cabrillo along. And I expect they will continue to do that. So if you're a parent of a student learning English as an academic language, I encourage you to attend. We'll have the Zoom link emailed out to every parent who speaks a language other than English, and you'll be welcome to be involved. There are 2 other new groups that have joined the school district in this past year. One of them is called the Special Education District Advisory Council. And this includes a parent rep from every school. And they are there to advise the district on best practices and parent wishes within the special education realm. And of course, Cabrillo has some great special education programs. I've already mentioned our deaf and hard of hearing program. We also have the program for the visually impaired in the county. And we also have a program for students with emotional disturbances. We also have a full program of mild to moderate services. And so we welcome having a parent representative to serve on that capacity and then bring information back to the school. Another new council is the African American Parent Council. This was formed in the spring before Black Lives Matter became such a global push, or that's not the wrong word, but like before it became so well known. They have been a strong and mighty force behind the scenes, really urging us to move forward in the areas of cultural proficiency and acceptance, really belief in who our students are, and really turning over some of the historically underserved populations that we have in our school district. We really need to listen and make changes right now. And our African American Parent Council is a great way to get involved and to make those changes in curriculum, culture, climate, really everything that has to do with the school system. So I encourage parents, this would also be, you'd be able to sign up for this also on the survey that's coming at the end. When we talk about communication, this is another way where we have lots and lots of forms of communication. We have our school district and our school website. We have the parent connection. We've had so many more parents get involved in Q Parent Connect. I really appreciate that you've done that. Our communications coordinator, Marie-Ann Quiros, who happens to be a Cabrillo mom, is on the call here, and she runs the district social media like Facebook. And she also got us set up with Parent Square. And so I hope parents are setting their notifications for Parent Square. And then a few of our teachers use a remind system. And we're always upgrading our systems. So I think later this school year, every teacher is going to be able to use Parent Square and send text and email and phone call messages home. We didn't want to bombard teachers with too many new things at the beginning of the year. It was enough, I think, to do Canvas and a new schedule and Zoom and Google Meets and Google everything. And so I think they'll welcome having a new system once they get a few of these other systems under their belt. Marie-Ann, do you have anything to add about the communications systems?
No, that about sums it up. Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay. This is the front page of our Cabrillo website a few days ago. It's changing regularly, so I would encourage you to check it on a frequent basis. By frequent, I mean about once a week. I consider checking the website about like checking your weight. If you do it too often, you go a little bit nuts. But if you do it periodically, it's a healthy thing to do, and you can stay up to date with all the Cabrillo events. And so we publish a student newsletter or a student bulletin every week on Monday. So you'll be able to check that and see what clubs and events will be coming up, because we are still having clubs. Believe it or not, we're going to be offering intramurals. I didn't believe it, but when our intramurals coordinator came to me and said, we'd love to offer basketball, I said, how? And we talked about it. We have a great plan. So if your students like basketball, we'll be offering intramural basketball in a couple of weeks, assuming ASB approves it, and I'm pretty sure they will. So we have just a lot of neat activities that are starting. They're evolving because it's taking time to gear up this year. As you've probably noticed as parents, everything's just a little bit harder this year. Things take more time to do. Things that a class that previously could have been done pretty readily now takes a lot more energy and a lot more effort. From the teacher's perspective, the student's perspective, the parent's perspective, it's just a challenge for everyone. And we recognize that. And we really appreciate how everyone's being patient, understanding. I think that a lot of the things that are coming out of this are things that we needed for a while. I'm going to just talk off the cuff here, but you know, our school system was built in kind of an industrial era, and it was built and designed for an industrial system. We needed to get more up to date with the technological era. And so this is a good thing. Now, I didn't expect that we would do this all in 5 months. That was a little quicker than anticipated, but the idea is certainly worthwhile. And I think the fact that we're becoming more technologically proficient and utilizing technology across the school system is really a very good thing. So as I wrap this up, I want to, oh, you can double click and go to screen share. That's good news. Remind you of a couple of things. We will be posting a recording of this on our website probably tomorrow. And the survey that you will go to fill out if you're interested in voting for our school site council reps, for getting involved in PTO, for getting involved in CDAC, for getting involved in the African American Parent Council, or for volunteering in any other way in PTO, you would go to this bit.ly, which is bit.ly/Cabrillo2020. And that will take you to the Google form. We ask that you only fill it out once. And then there's a place where you can put your name and info if you want us to be in touch, but you can also do it anonymously as well. We would like you to personalize your Parent Square notifications so that we're not bugging you, but rather we're informing you in a way that you want to hear about. And then this evening we have what we're calling open Zoom rooms. You know, we had to rethink back to school night. It wouldn't work to bring over 1,000 people onto campus and to crowd around. That would not have been a healthy thing to do. So we came up with this idea of flipping back to school night. And hopefully you've had a chance to watch the videos or visual representations from your children's teachers and see their different personalities and see what they did to share about their classes. And then this evening, for the next hour, you're welcome to pop into their class, introduce yourself. If you have the ability to change your name on your screen so that it has your name as well as your child's name, I encourage you to do that just so that it's easier on the teacher, but you don't have to do that. It's only if you're able to. Please remember that there will be potentially lots of other people in the room. So not to share anything that's overly personal, but if you do want to make an appointment with the teacher, you're welcome to email the teacher and have an appointment later in the next few weeks, or we're going to have parent conferences in November. So you're welcome to do a more personal conversation along those lines. And then just also recognizing the fact that there could potentially be lots of people coming into and out of the class. Some teachers have 2 or 3 subjects, and so you might have a parent in the room that has a student with a different subject area than the one that you're going in to hear about. So it's more like a meet and greet and a general question and answer kind of session. I hope that helps you understand what the format of the evening is for. And if you don't get into all 6 teachers in the next 50 minutes, feel free to email them and introduce yourself or to set up a phone call or a Zoom call. We really do want to partner with parents, and we want to be good collaborators with you. Now more than ever, we're teaching your children together, right? When we had Teacher Appreciation Week last May, I thought, oh my gosh, I need to send lunch to all the parents because you're doing so much of the job right now, and we recognize that. We couldn't do it without you, and so we just really appreciate your partnership. And I'm going to check real quick. Was there anything in the Q&A that I should address on a more global scale, Ms. Brandstetter?
Dr. Dawes, if you can tell folks where they can find the videos for the teachers, that would be great.
The videos for the teachers have been emailed out via Parent Square. The last time was just yesterday morning. Or the same videos were sent out last Thursday around 5 or 6 p.m. So if you can look into your Parent Square, there's an attachment It's actually a 7-page long attachment, and it has Zoom links to all the classes where you can go visit right now, and it also has links to all of the videos for the various classes. If you haven't seen the videos yet, you're welcome to look at them over the weekend or whenever you like. Those are going to be live for the remainder of the year. Okay, any other questions? Well, I really appreciate you all being here this evening, being on another hour of Zoom when you've probably already been on some Zoom today. Thank you for your involvement. Thank you for sending such great kids to Cabrillo. It's why it's such a good school. And we really appreciate your participation and wish you a good evening. Take good care. Bye-bye.